Welcome to the Lay in Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at Monday in the NBA on the 23rd, we've got 14 games to go through here because only 2 teams are off and then everybody's off on Tuesday. So I'm going to be going through about 8 player prop projections and best bets that I have for you in this episode. I want to make clear to you too, I saw the comments and heard some of you who are like, hey, I don't really know what you're betting when you switch screens and move too quickly. So 1, I will slow down definitely and try to be a little bit more clear about what I'm looking at. 2, I'll be very, very clear when it's a bet that I've already placed versus a bet that I'm still looking at for tomorrow. And we'll talk about that here during the episode as well. And 3, I can't promise that I'm going to write down every single bet for you guys and put it on screen because I know that that means that too many of you are just going to go look at the bet and move on. And what I'm trying to do here is help everybody understand how I find the bets that I'm betting and how to get a little bit better at this whole sports betting thing, specifically on the NBA when we're doing it right here. So if that all sounds good, go ahead and give the video a like. Let's get right into it. I showed you the record here from Saturday. Looked really good. 8-3 plus 4.5 units. And let's add about a half a unit to it. Just 2 plays on Sunday. What I learned on Friday when there was only 3 games in the NBA was chill out a little bit. There's some weirdness going on. There were some weird lineups and injuries. Now it's the weekend on a Sunday. Kind of weird for some teams on a back-to-back who are playing tomorrow as well. So I kept the volume really low, but I did try to get in a half a unit on Jokic to get 11 assists because I thought that was a lovely number at 2-1 when the core bet here for him to get 9 was at minus 115. I was down to double those odds for him to get 2 more. He had 10. Triple-double would have been nice, but either way, great look against the Pelicans team that's terrible on defense and terrible against the spot up. So we have now climbed up to 37. That should say 37.2, but still within 0.6 units on the season. So feeling really good and still have 2 codes left from the VIP promo that I was running here in celebration of Saturday. Got Heater 36 up. So there's 2 more of those codes left if you do want to get 35% off of that VIP access. While I'm talking about that, just a quick understanding of what I mean when I'm talking about why I don't have a ton of bets the night before all the time. The timing of my bets is as follows. The night before, I try to get a few early plays out, but I need those early plays to not be dependent on any kind of injury news or market pressure. And what I mean by market pressure is that I don't always have 100% of the information that I need to make bets, like rotations or if there's any changes in the lineups or anything like that. So if I'm not ready to make those bets yet because I don't know that information, and on the next morning, I know I'm going to be able to find it out, then I'm going to wait. There's no reason to force things just because it's early. Early doesn't always mean good. Sometimes you need more info. The morning of games, then, I'm trying to go back into the sort of bets here and see if I can find any more looks that make sense because maybe overnight some things moved to a good place. Maybe some things came out that weren't available the night before. And maybe there was some overnight news that would then help me when I wake up in the morning. So that's another big moment in time. And then once about 4 p.m. Eastern hits on the East Coast, it's just a free-for-all for the next 6 hours. There's new lines coming out. The subs that are not starting in games are often we don't get their lines until maybe an hour, maybe 20 minutes before game time. So a lot of times when I'm waiting for lines for subs or guys that aren't starters, there's nothing I can do about it, right? So that's why the live show is really important as well. Quick reminder that we have that every single day at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. You guys jump in there, bring your bets, and we go through that stuff together. I show my screen and kind of do a lot of what we do here in these videos, share exactly how I'm finding what I'm finding. Plus, this is the moment in time where there's a ton of new looks to come out and information that's coming out that helps us make these bets. So just a quick understanding for those of y'all in the comments, I wanted to make sure I responded to you and let you know how this stuff works for me because the value is usually a couple hours before tip at the earliest in the NBA. So keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and look at what I'm looking at here for Monday. For those of you who've been following along, you know we are using propsmadness.com. It is the GOAT tool when you're looking for anything sports betting related in the NBA and in the WNBA when it comes to betting on the ladies again this summer. So use code LYB if you do not yet have an account with Props Madness and want to get one. This will get you 25% off of that first month. But let's kick it off here with this Celtics and Magic game and what I'm looking at here. First guy I'm looking at is the first guy we're seeing here on the screen, which is Jalen Suggs, right? And so I'm changing this from points to rebounds because that's what I'm looking at here for Suggs. And you can see there's a little bit of disparity here on these lines. We've got 4.5 on DraftKings at plus 130. We've also got Caesars and Bet365 with some really gross odds at minus 160 though for 3.5 boards for Suggs. And this is mispriced. So I hit this. This is a bet that I'm playing right off the bat. Here's one that I've got for you. It's 4.5 rebounds or 5+ for Jalen Suggs. And I got plus 130 on DraftKings. I believe plus 135 is available for 5+ on Bet365. So it's a little bit better there if you have a Bet365 account. The things that I'm looking at here for Suggs, one, let's just go ahead and look at these games where he's played without both Franz and Paolo. By the way, poor Orlando, Mo Wagner also now out. Probably looks like the season. Looks like it was a tear in his knee. I can't see him coming back. But either way, we know Franz and Paolo have now been out for 4 straight games, and he has gotten at least 4 in all 4 of these games. The one that he went under against Phoenix, only 9 rebound chances. I'll say Goga Batadze went crazy in that game. And we had some Mo Wagner as well, who we will not have in this game coming up, right? In the other 3 here, 11 rebound chances, 10 rebound chances, and another 10 and another 11. So like basically 10 to 11 rebound chances per game without those dudes. And now I think we can also bank on him playing even more minutes if he's available. So he is questionable right now with an injury to his ankle that he sustained against the Thunder, which, by the way, 5 rebounds in 17 minutes against the Thunder, 10 rebound chances. So I think he would have gone cleanly over the 5 if he had played his normal 35-ish minutes that he's now playing without Franz and Paolo. So I love the boards because of the way that he's doing it without them. And now we don't have Mo Wagner, who's a good rebounder. I won't call him great, but another big that's no longer available to come in and play. Jalen Suggs, like if they're going to stay close in this game with the Celtics at all, he's going to have to be going crazy in the effort and the hustle. I don't think he's going to score or be able to keep them in this game with his scoring or assisting necessarily. I'm staying away from those props, but I love the boards for him. And I want to show you that one more thing here using the site that I've been showing you guys, Fantasy Labs. I'm pulling that up right now, and I already have this already kind of done up so that we can see how does Jalen Suggs perform when he's on court, and we've got the guys that we know aren't going to be playing for them off court, which is Franz, Mo, and Paolo, right? So looking at Jalen Suggs here, we can see per 36 minutes, I'll pull it up here, he's at the top. So per 36 minutes when he's playing without Franz, without Mo, and without Paolo Banchero, he's looking at about 7 rebounds per 36 minutes. And I'm very confident that he's going to be playing 36 minutes if this game is even within at all striking distance. Like if this is within 15 to 20 points going into say like the 4th quarter, the middle of the end of the 3rd, I still think we're going to get enough Jalen Suggs minutes that they'll try to come back. This team really never gives up. We saw them not give up at all when Suggs got hurt against the Thunder. So I think if he's at like 30 to 35 minutes, he's still good for 5 rebounds. If he plays 35 or more, I think he's good for 6+ rebounds. And maybe we'll take a look at the latter on the live show tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Eastern for Suggs. The other look in this game is just all reliable here, man. Jason Tatum rebounds when he's playing alongside Kristaps Porzingis. I've continued to harp on this. I hope you guys aren't sharing this secret with everybody, but Jason Tatum, when he plays with his starting center in Kristaps Porzingis, actually gets more rebounds per game and per minute than he does when he's not playing with Kristaps. Let's start with the games that he's played with Kristaps this season. So I'm filtering that on Props Madness using this games with and without filter to see that in the, 7 games that he's played this season with KP, he's gone over 9.5 in 5 of those games. He's averaging 11.5 rebounds in those 7 games. And the 2 that he went under, one against the Cavs, very good rebounding team. The Magic are too, but once again, they're out without Mo, they're without Franz, and they're without Paolo. And then the other one was this 32-point shellacking that they handed the Clippers. That was, I believe, Kristaps' first game back. So he only played 30 minutes, still had 9 boards in 30 minutes in that game. And if this is at all close, once again, which it has the makings of a blowout, I will say, then Tatum is probably good for those 10 boards. This is the reason that I have not yet bet Jason Tatum. Once again, being super clear for you guys, this is not yet a bet. What I need to know is that Jalen Suggs is for sure playing in this game tomorrow. And I want to make sure that everybody who could play for them is playing. Like, is Jonathan Isaac going to for sure be playing? There's a lot of times some news that comes out late, so we got to wait. If he's at 9.5 and Jalen Suggs is in, I can trust that this game should be a little bit closer because that's their best offensive player at this point for the Magic, which should help them keep the game close enough to give Tatum the minutes to get 10 rebounds. Not listed here is Tatum Pritchard, also known as Peyton or Pusha P, as we call him on the live show. Pusha P or Tatum Pritchard will be good for probably about, if we can get him at 12.5 points, I'm taking the over on that. I feel like his prop will probably open at 13.5. So that's about where I would take it. If we can get it lower than that, I'll take it as well, because this is, like I said, the makings of a blowout. And in blowouts are games that this team is winning the Celtics by about 15 or more points. Tatum Pritchard is at like 16 points per game. So his minutes and everything goes up a tick for him when he's playing in games that they're likely to blow the other team out, since he's the point guard that comes in and just sort of runs stuff after that the game gets out of control. So we'll keep an eye on him and talk about him in the live show on Monday as well. I'm going to skip right over this Cavs and Jazz game because I do not trust the Jazz to stay close with what has been the best team in the NBA this season in the Cleveland Cavaliers. So as I scroll down here and look at the Hornets and the Rockets, it's tough for me to get a bet on this one right now, too. We've got a lot of guys out for the Hornets, and now I'm pulling up the NBA injury report. This is the official injury report that the teams send to the NBA and they give to us. You can see all these links here. I mean, every hour this gets updated. So the most recent one at 11 Eastern, as I'm recording this here late night on Sunday. If we go down to the injury report here for the Houston and Charlotte game, which is down a little bit further, we can see that pretty much everybody for Charlotte that is pretty good is out. Trey Mann is out, Brandon Miller's out, and then a bunch more guards, Grant Williams, etc. So what we know is that Lamelo is going to be playing without Brandon Miller. In those games without Brandon Miller, he is shooting the ball a ton, right? He's got like a 42% usage rate in the minutes that Brandon Miller is not on the floor. He's just pulling every time. Thing is his numbers aren't that great, and this is the second best defense in the league for the Houston Rockets. They have the second best defensive rating. They might be a little bit tired after a game against Toronto on Sunday that they had to go pretty hard, and they should have had that thing in hand, and then they kind of had to make sure they took the win at the end there. It got close. So point is they weren't able to just rest guys after they built a big lead against them on Sunday night against the Raptors, meaning these guys might be a little bit tired. LaMelo, who is the only guy that I'd be looking at an over. And the reason simply being, I mean, look at this last game against the Wizards without Brandon Miller or Trey Mann. 34 minutes, 32 shots. It's absolutely absurd. And that was against the Wizards to get to 34 points. So while the usage should probably be there for LaMelo, and to be fair, this is the type of player that you want to take against the Rockets. The Rockets give up a ton of catch and shoot. They give up a ton of pull-up shots, right? They give up the fewest catch and shoot shots in the league, does Houston. And you can see down here on Props Madness, the play type analysis says that they are the third best defense limiting points to the spot-up shooter. That's for Houston. So you know they're better against the spot up, and LaMelo's doing way more pull-ups, right? Because he's the point guard. He's got the ball in his hands. So he's not shooting off the pass and the catch and shoot. He's shooting when he dribbles, and then pulls, which we know he's going to do, which is why his threes are at about 4.5, right? For plus money, but 4.5. They're putting his 3-point prop at 5. He's averaging 4.5 on the season, but he is going to be pulling a lot of them against this Rockets defense that doesn't double team, which is why they're good against spot up. So this is the dude that I'd be eyeing. But once again, this is not a bet yet for me. 30.5 is a little bit too much. I want to see what market pressure does. If this gets bet down at all, then maybe I'll find some value in LaMelo Ball points. Okay, so let's get to this game that I am very much so looking forward to. This is the Spurs and the Sixers. And I've had some pretty good success betting on the Sixers this season, but now we've got Joel back, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George. I believe Joel is questionable, but I expect him to play. I think all signs are pointing to him going in this game. So the things that I'm looking at when you have him out on the side of Philly are probably starting with Paul George rebounds. And once again, this is not a bet yet because I don't know if Joel Embiid is playing, and I would prefer him to be playing or at least know what he's going to be doing before I bet on Paul George. And here's what I'm looking at, once again, pulling up NBA Advanced Stats, the Fantasy Labs. So you can see here I got the 76ers pulled up. On court, I have Joel Embiid, Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. These are the 4 dudes that are having the most consistent lineups when Joel Embiid and Paul George, to be fair, are healthy. And in these minutes, when they're on the floor together, if I go ahead and filter this so that they're played 47 minutes together, Joel's at about 31 points per 36 minutes, 10 boards, 7.5 assists. And I will say those assists are a little bit skewed in part because they played against the Hornets twice, and the Hornets were just doubling Joel as soon as he got the ball. So there was at least one, if not 2 guys wide open that Joel could find for catch and shoot stuff against them. Right, this is going to be a little bit different against San Antonio, who is a bit better here against the catch and shoot as opposed to the other stuff. So I don't know that they'll double Joel since they have Paul George. They have Victor Wembanyama. What I'm looking at for PG, though, is he gets 9 rebounds per 36 minutes when he plays alongside Joel this season with Oubre and Maxey on the floor. The part of that is because the power forward is usually KJ Martin. KJ Martin is not a very good rebounder. On the season, he's at like 3 per game. And in these minutes where he's playing with these starters, he's at about 3 rebounds per 36 minutes. And he's not even getting 36 minutes. So he's really at like 2 rebounds a game, like I said. Not very good stuff, which leads to Paul George being the guy to come in and get boards. The Spurs here also give up a ton of rebounds to forwards, in part because Wemby and the center go at it and have to box each other out. which leaves lanes wide open for the forwards who are athletic rebounders like Paul George to come in and get those boards. Again, though, I want to see what market pressure does, if there's any new info, and if Joel is going to be playing before I just make that bet on Paul George, since it's so dependent on Embiid being on the floor. But here's a bet I do have from this game. Again, here's a bet that I have. If you're listening, you're now going to be able to find out that this is a bet already on the card. This is Jeremy Sochan over rebounds. I took him to get 8+. I got that at even money on DraftKings, which is still available here. And I still like this number. There's actually better numbers available now. +110 on Bet365 is around. Caesars has this at +108. I'm fine with it. I think 8 is a good number. And I'm actually glad he only got 7 in the last game against Portland that you can see here, because that gives us a little bit more value. If he had gone too high over the 7 boards in their blowout win up over the Trailblazers, this number might be higher than 7.5. But here's what I'm looking at with Sochan. Similar to Paul George with Joel Embiid, he's actually a bit better with Victor Wembanyama on the floor, and this is their second best rebounder. There's no question. On the season with Vic, he's at 8.2 rebounds, but when you give him all the games that he's playing 30+ minutes, which is another great feature here of Props Madness, I can go ahead and filter, so I'm only looking at the games where he's played at least 30 minutes. And when I move this minutes tab scrubber thingy to 30+, you can see that he's now at 9.1 rebounds per game, over in 6 of 8, right? This is with Wemby playing at least 30 minutes this season. The thing that I want to show you as well from Fantasy Labs, as we know, one of my favorite sites, because it's one of the things I attribute the most to the success that I've had in the NBA so far this year. So I've just pulled this up for the Spurs. On court, I've got Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Sochan, Victor Wembanyama. These 4 are playing together a lot now too as the starters, and you're getting a bit of either Champagny or Devin Vassell. You're getting some Keldon Johnson out there, but these are kind of the core 4 as we see them for this team, with Stephon Castle and Chris Paul somewhat interchangeable, but Jeremy Sochan still the second best rebounder on this team for sure. And alongside Vic, it's just those two getting the boards. If I look at what his numbers are here per 36 minutes in the games where he's on the floor with those other 3 players, he's looking at about 10.4 rebounds per 36 minutes. And the minutes feel very safe for him because he's become such an important part of this offense, both for the hustle stats and, to be honest, his scoring around the rim, which you could call hustle stats, I suppose. So in these last roughly, let's say, how many games has he been back from injury? So he came back about December 3rd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that he's played, right? So in these last 8 games that he's been back from injury, he worked his way up from 22 minutes to 32 minutes in the next game back, then played 21 as they got blown out by the Kings by 27, and then 23 against the Pellies. So you see he had to work his way back up. Now, in the last 4, 32 minutes, 30 minutes, 42 minutes versus Atlanta, and then 24 because they blew out Portland. He didn't have to play more than that. But what this tells me is that this dude is squarely in line for 30+ minutes in games that are going to be close and that they need him out there because it's not a blowout, right? And this one is a 5.5-point spread for Philly, which is crazy. I don't think Philly should be favored over almost anybody right now, to be honest with you. Even with Joel out there, they just don't look like they have it together yet. And this Spurs team kind of clicking at the right time and putting things together here. Nice little 2-game win streak after a tough loss at Minnesota. And Jeremy Sochan is such an important part of this that I think he's good for 32 to 34 minutes, in which case I project him to get 9 boards. So I love plus money for him to go over 7.5. One game that is not yet available for me to look at props is Memphis and the Clippers, and I cannot wait to see if James Harden comes out at about 35 or 36.5 PRA, and then I'm smashing the under. And you think I'm joking, but a part of this analysis for James Harden under PRA is that Memphis has incredible strip clubs, and it's almost Christmas. Just that simple. I think they're going to fold it in. I think James Harden isn't going to be trying. I think he's going to either be tired from the titty bar the night before, or he's already looking forward to his favorite strippers in Memphis tonight. I know this sounds a little bit funny, but I'm also not joking. And in part, that's a big part of the analysis. But the other part is Memphis is filthy limiting point guards. They limit everything against point guards. They've been an incredible defense, and they continue to be. As I pulled, the only thing I want to show you for that is looking at FanDuel Fantasy Pros. This shows you team defense and how they rank against specific positions. So for point guards, which James Harden, very much the point guard, the amount of points that Memphis is giving up, 22 a game, they are 5th best, limiting points to the position. They are in the top. I guess the rebounds are a little bit more. I'm not worried about his rebounds at all. They're middle of the pack, limiting rebounds to the point guard. And then as far as assists go, they are in the top 5, 6, 7 or 8 in limiting assists. So for PRA, they're in the top 5 for the all combined stats, limiting point guards. James Harden is not someone that I'm really sort of supporting and backing his efforts right now. I think he'll get shut down pretty quick. And as soon as that happens, I think this game is pretty much over. Maybe Norm Powell overs because he never gives up and has been a baller this year, but we're definitely gonna be fading James Harden. That'll be something talked about on the live show tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. One more bet that I do have right now for you guys. I repeat, one more bet that I have for you now that I did put in already is going to be this bet here on Jordan Poole. And tail at your own risk. I have not had the best time this season betting unders, but I love an under at 26.5 points for Jordan Poole against the Oklahoma City defense. I don't think I need to go into this too much, but first of all, I'll just start with the points. The points against this team, they are second limiting points to the ball handler. And this is the beauty, once again, of Props Madness. You can see how these teams perform against specific plays, not just positions. And when the Thunder are faced with a pick and roll play, they limit the ball handler in that play to the second fewest points per game. They also limit transition points to the second fewest per game. Jordan Poole gets 50, count it, half of his points off of the pick and roll ball handler play or the transition. Not going to happen against a team that's going to throw everybody at him who's healthy, which is everybody. As we pull up the injury report once again for OKC and Washington, you can see that OKC is really, really healthy. They only have a few guys that you haven't heard of outside of Chet Holmgren, and obviously their first pick here, Nikola Topic as well. But other than that, they have got Caruso, they've got Kason Wallace, they've finally got rest since they had to, play a bunch of games in a row, like 3 and 4 nights, and they won 2 of them. They just lost the championship in the NBA Cup, so they're going to be ready to go. I think they're just going to have Lou Dort on Jordan Poole, some Kason Wallace, some Caruso, doesn't matter. They're going to be shutting him down and not letting him get the points. Get out of there early, get a 25, 30-point lead at home against this team in the third quarter, sit all your guys, and Jordan Poole might not play the fourth as a result of that. So this is the only real thing I feel comfortable with. I think this is going to be a 20-point beat down for the Thunder over Washington. All right, one more reminder that the code for 35% off your VIP access, if you are interested, Heater 36. And in the VIP, doing a lot more than just handing out 37 units worth of winners this season so far. Also looking to get to 100 units by the end of the regular season. And there's the opportunity to get one-on-one sports betting consultation. So I have some weekly meetings and some impromptu meetings with people in the VIP to help them trim those bad habits and pick up some more good sports betting habits to help you get those winners. So 2 codes left as I'm recording this for Heater 36. If you're interested, hope to see you guys at the live show as well, 5:30 p.m. Eastern every single weekday. This week, as whenever there's games, we'll be going live. So hope to see y'all in there on Monday. And until I do, happy betting.